Welcome to the CAD/CAM CAE lecture series. This is lecture 2. In this lecture, we are going to cover integration of CAD/CAM, and again, we will see how these two things are integrated to each other. So let's get started. So CAD/CAM, okay, the short forms, which is computer aided design and computer aided manufacturing, okay, refers to use of computers to assist design and manufacturing activities when they are performed in an integrated manner and not as islands of automation. So in the first lecture also we had a discussion as why there is slash and not other symbol like hyphen or addition. So slash denotes integration. So the activities which are carried out in CAD, okay, and the activities which are carried out in CAM, they are integrated with each other. So you cannot independently carry them out. Okay, so that is the most important thing, and that is why CAD and CAM both are integrated approaches. Okay, so one depends on the other, and there is good integration among the two. So benefits of integration are much more compared to use of computers in a non-integrated manner. So that is why, as you can see over here, CAD slash CAM means much more than CAD plus CAM. Okay, so that is why we always use CAD slash CAM and we call it as CAD CAM, similar to or just like denoting it as a single word CAD CAM. Okay, but it is actually CAD slash CAM. So integration of design and manufacturing. What exactly we mean by integration? Okay, that is what we will see over here. So these are all the activities which we perform in CAD as well as CAM. So geometric model. Okay, geometric model is at the epicenter of all these things. So geometric model holds the key. Okay, geometric model holds the key. So it basically starts from the conceptual design. Okay, when the thought process comes to the mind in order to fulfill the functional requirements, conceptual design is a first stage that we create. Okay, from conceptual designs, okay, nowadays since everything happens on computer, so conceptual design will create some geometric model. Okay, we will create a geometric model. Okay, and then we will keep on changing that geometric model based on the requirements. Okay, based on the availability of materials, availability of space, okay, and all other factors, and we will move towards detailed designing or design detailing. Okay, design detailing. Now it will also involve, okay, in order to create a detailed design which will eventually be supplied to a manufacturing team. Okay, we will carry out FEM analysis, finite element analysis. Okay, we will carry out to identify stresses. Okay, and thermal stresses, static structural analysis, etc., etc. So the aim would be to confirm the dimensions. Okay, the output of this is again going to be a detailed design. Okay, and this design will have confirmed dimensions. This design will have confirmed dimensions. We can also have kinematics and dynamic analysis, okay, to confirm the dimensions in case of assembly of parts. Okay, in place of assembly of parts, we can also go for optimizations. Okay, as far as the shape, size and topology optimization is concerned, and the design gets confirmed. Okay, design gets confirmed. So as you can see, every uh, every activity uses the same geometric model. Okay, every activity uses the same geometric model. We confirm the part dimensions and then we eventually do the assembly. Okay, we eventually do the assembly. Now assembly again ensures some of the dimensional changes if necessary, and the detailed design for individual part is confirmed. Okay, individual part is confirmed. After confirming the detailed design, we can also go for we can also go for the manufacturing. Now manufacturing, here we are considering that the part will be manufactured on CNC machine. So the same part file will be supplied to another computer program. Okay, which eventually will populate a CNC code, okay, which eventually will populate a CNC code, and that CNC code will be supplied to the CNC machine, and CNC machine will manufacture the exact same part which we have confirmed in the detailed design. So CNC, and while CNC is operating, okay, we can also have a computer aided inspection of the part, which is a uh, inbuilt function, okay, in CNC machine. So the machine which is being operated by the computer, CNC machines server computer, okay, it inspects the manufacturing activity carried out by CNC. So as you can see, all the activities, okay, are correlated with each other through the geometric model, and the same geometric model keeps upgrading, okay, after every activity is carried out. So geometric model plays a very vital role in CAD CAM integration. Okay, now when we are talking about integration of CAD CAM, okay, it involves different systems, and in sometimes it may involve different softwares, as for example, if we are designing, let's say, for these activities, say conceptual design, geometric model, and assembly and detailed design. So these four activities, you can say, you can carry out in one 3D modeling software tool, let's say for example SolidWorks. Okay, now if you want to test, okay, if you want to test your model for, let's say, finite element analysis, then nowadays you can use the same SolidWorks environment and you can carry out a static analysis. But if you don't want to use the same environment and you want to use a different software, let's say for example ANSYS or Abacus, okay, then you will have to convert the geometric model into a another software friendly format. So let's say the for file format for SolidWorks is SLDPRT, which is a part file format. Okay, and if you supply the same file to ANSYS, okay, ANSYS will not be able to read that file. Now current versions of ANSYS may able to read the file, but it is not a general file format. So ANSYS will be able to read only general file formats. Okay, so we'll have to convert the file into a ANSYS friendly file format. Okay, ANSYS friendly file format. So that we call these conversions of file formats as geometric data exchange. So changing the file formats from one format to the other format. What is the purpose? Purpose is to use the best systems available, okay, for a particular purpose. So let's say for modeling, if we say CATIA or SolidWorks is the best software available. For example, for analysis, that is FEA, ANSYS or Abacus is the best software available. So if we want to use the best softwares available for each and every functions which we developed or which we discussed over here, then the geometric data exchange is a necessity. Okay, so geometric format of software one, let's say for example this is SolidWorks, so SLDPRT, and geometric format of ANSYS, okay, which is software 2. So ANSYS will have if we are using a ANSYS mechanical APDL, okay, then it will have db.db as the file format, okay, .db as the file format. So now these two file formats, how they are going to communicate with each other? So SLDPRT, if you directly try to import in ANSYS mechanical APDL, okay, it will not be able to access the file. So since these two softwares should communicate with each other, and in order to fulfill this requirement, okay, there was a necessity of intermediate geometric format. Okay, there was a necessity of intermediate geometric format, and some general purpose file formats were developed, okay, and they were designed by keeping some standards in mind. They were designed by keeping some standards in mind. The purpose was, so I have a SolidWorks part file, I will convert my part file into an intermediate geometric format, and ANSYS will also be able to read the general or intermediate geometric format. So now my SolidWorks part file I will convert into, let's say for example, IGS or step. Okay, what are IGS and step file formats we will see slightly later. Okay, and ANSYS will be able to read from the step or IGS file formats. So this is what we mean by the intermediate geometric format or general purpose geometric formats. So what are the intermediate geometric formats, or what exactly is this geometric data exchange? So these are few intermediate geometric formats I have listed over here. Okay, the first and the foremost is IGES, Initial Graphics Exchange Specification, or Initial Graphics Specification. It is also called as IGS. Okay, so it is a very general purpose file format which is readable in all the software. So you have a standard for this. Okay, so every software will have a geometric data exchange or geometric data converter. Okay, and that converter program will convert the parent file format into the general purpose or intermediate file format, and the IGS file prepared by software one, let's say SolidWorks, and IGS file prepared by, let's say, CATIA, okay, will more or less be the same files. Okay, more or less will be the same file. So that is why the standardization is done, okay, in this particular intermediate geometric exchange formats. The second one is STL, standard tessellation language. So it is a file format which is a surface level file format, and it's also a standard. Okay, so same thing, if you convert the your 3D modeling file into an STL file, okay, then STL is a standard format, and STL file will be readable in many softwares. Okay, many softwares. Then you have VDAFS, which is a German organization, okay, which translates as Automotive Industry Association Surface Data Interface. So this is a automotive industry related format developed by German organization VDA. Okay, works on the similar lines. You have render. Now render is used, rendering you might have heard somewhere. Okay, rendering is converting the model, okay, into a high quality or high definition image. Okay, so converting the model view into an high definition image view is called as rendering, and you have a render as file format, okay, which can be also communicated over different softwares. Then you have, in terms of two-dimensional drawing, you have DXF, which is drawing exchange format. This is the oldest format which is in existence, and it is developed by the software AutoCAD. Okay, so the company name is Autodesk. Okay, they developed this format around 1980s, mid 1980s. Okay, DXF format. They also have one more format called as DWG, which is the AutoCAD drawing file. Okay, DWG. But DXF is more or less called as the general purpose or intermediate file format. Then you also have a Patran file, which is an Abacus FEA file format. So if you are working with Abacus, trying to carry out finite element analysis, so the file format will be Patran. As I explained in ANSYS, the file format will be DB. Okay, so in Abacus it is going to be Patran, and VRML. So the another file format is Virtual Reality Modeling Language. Okay, so these are the some of the general purpose or intermediate file formats used for geometric data exchanges. Okay, now we'll discuss benefits of design and manufacturing integration. Now, why this integration is necessary, and why can't these two things can operate individually and then communicate with each other? So let's say, let's take an example. This, on the left hand side I have time of design change, and on the other right hand side I have cost associated with that activity. So if, let's say, I'm designing a product, and during design, let's say my requirements got slightly modified. So during the design I can do anything, because at this point of time I have not decided anything, so I can incorporate as many changes as I want to. So during design the cost is X. Okay, so cost associated for the change in design is the same. Okay, X is the same cost of design. Now during design testing, so let's say my design is done. Okay, my design team has completed the design task, okay, and that design has been submitted for testing. Okay, now the testing authority identified that, okay, certain dimensions have to be modified because of the at the client's end the dimensions will not fit. Okay, so if the change has been brought into notice during the design testing phase, then there will be cost associated 10 times the design cost. Okay, 10 times the design cost. Okay, imagine the time gaps between these two tasks. So let's say I start today in the month of July, okay, and I am able to complete my design in the month of August. And in the month of August, I realized that there was some design change required. So I again go back to the drawing board, make those changes, go through the almost similar phases, and let's say bring up the modified design in a 15 days time, but with an additional cost which is of 10 times the initial cost. Okay, now let's say we even passed the design testing stage, and during the process planning some error was encountered in the design and it was sent back to the design team. They made the change, again the design was tested, and again the process planning was rescheduled. Okay, so the cost associated at that stage, okay, to change the design is almost 100 times the design cost. Okay, so 100 times of x. Okay, so as you go on in up in the ladder, okay, in from design to the manufacturing, and while going up, if you are changing your designs, okay, then it will incur more and more cost. So if let's say test production, okay, during test production, let's say the process planning was also completed, production was started, and you have produced some products and you're in a testing phase of the products. So in that you realize that no, it is not fitting, so again you'll have to go back to the drawing board, and then the cost associated with will be almost 1,000 times. Okay, 1,000 times, and mind the time lost, okay, in all these phases. And if let's say during the final production, okay, if you encounter a design change, then it is almost at the cost of 10,000 times. Now you might have heard few examples, few recent examples. Let's say Maruti Ritz, okay, few years back, okay, they called back the models which were manufactured, okay, of certain batch, okay, from the factory. Okay, Maruti called those models back and replaced some part. Okay, replaced some part. So remember, the models were already sold to the customer. Now they have a very wide chain. So manufacturing happens at a factory which is at X location. Okay, and from there they have the distribution network. So from there the cars literally go to the all part of the world. Okay, and the cars are distributed from distribution networks. The actual person buys the car. Okay, and the car is now with the customer, and then they encountered that there was some issue with the model, so they had to recall all those models back to the factory, replace that part, and again shift those cars to their owners. So it's a big task. Okay, it's a big task, and it involves a lot of money. Okay, a lot of money, and that is why all that cost would have been bared by Maruti. So this is just an example. So you have to be very sure while you are at your design phase, you have to be very sure of all the consequences of your design. Okay, so integration of design and manufacturing. So geometric model driven integration has limitations. Okay, now that is why the integration is very important. So had these activities been integrated, okay, in reality they are integrated. Okay, so despite of that, such errors are possible. Okay, sometimes we can't avoid all the errors that are happening. Okay, but we can improve from such experiences. So geometric model driven integration has limitations. Okay, okay, tighter integration of design and manufacturing activities is possible if information exchange goes beyond geometry. So what do we mean by that? If the information exchange goes beyond geometry, now the same example which I gave, okay, is not a design related example. Okay, it is an example with, let's say, some testing, or with, let's say, some standards. Okay, so if that information is also included in your part file, maybe, okay, then the geometric model becomes enriched. Okay, geometric model becomes enriched, and then it may probably save these type of errors. So our geometric model should not only store geometry information, material information, then let's say the surface finish information, but it also should store, let's say, some other information. As if it's an assembly, then it should also store the mating relationships. It should also store, let's say, some of the environments in which it is going to be operated, some other forms. Okay, so if all that information gets associated with geometric model, then it enriches the geometric model and decreases the chances of errors that might happen in the further times. Okay, so uh, we'll come to the product modeling. Okay, product modeling refers to identifying and modeling of product related information and exchange of the same among various life cycle activities to facilitate product related decisions to be taken quickly and effectively. So why we all do these activities? Because we want to model the product. Okay, we want to model the product, we want to make the product and sell the product in the market. Okay, so for that reason all these activities are done. So if we are able to correlate all the activities and integrate all the activities with each other, many errors will be possible to correct. So what are the steps, or what are the functionalities that are involved in product modeling? So you have function, why the product is required, that is the reason for which the product is being made. Then specifications and constraints. Okay, in what circumstances the product is viable to use. Let's say, for example, the mobile phone which we use, you can't put it underwater. Okay, so it should be used where there is no water, so you can't use it while you are swimming. So just an example. Then geometry. Okay, what is the sizes, shapes, okay, orientations of your product. Then design history. Okay, we would like to know whether uh, by identifying the past similar products, what are the designs they have modeled. Okay, what are the histories, if we have similar history of manufacturing similar product. Okay, some of the processes are developed with us. Okay, so we don't have to develop everything from scratch. So that is why design history is also very important. The materials which we are going to use, okay, will play a vital role. Then assembly and bill of materials. Okay, assembly and bill of material, how various parts will get assembled, and the correct bill of material is very important. Of course, the tolerances and surface finishes plays a vital role. So these assembly and tolerance and surface finish, they go hand in hand. Okay, if you are misreading any information anywhere, okay, it will pop up an error while you are actually doing the assembly. So if you have a very bad surface finish and the part is supposed to slide over each other, okay, then it will not be able to operate while you are assembling the part. So that is why these two things are very important: assembly and tolerances and surface finishes. Then process data. Okay, the what are the manufacturing processes we need to apply so that the part will be manufactured. And some other business information. Okay, some other business information, say where this part will be used. Okay, who are the people will be using the part. Okay, what are the environmental conditions in which the part is going to be used. So say any other information, okay, business related information. So all these are the product modeling functionalities which are very important as far as CAD CAM systems are concerned. So in order to help, okay, some of these things, okay, not all, some of these things, okay, there is a, file format or a standard was devised. Okay, and that file format is called as STEP file format. It is a standard for exchange of product data. Okay, standard for exchange of product data. In short, it is called as STEP, ISO 10303. So it is an international effort to develop standard for computer interpretable representation and exchange of product data. So a step file format, let's say what are the achievements of step file format. We'll discuss few. There are many achievements of step file format, and just to uh, bring to your notice, okay, SolidWorks or CATIA or Creo Parametric or Unigraphics, all the software tools will convert your part into a step file format. Okay, in short, the file format will be called as STP. Okay, it will have some two-digit number followed by it. So STP 12, STP 14, something like that. Okay, so that is a step file format. So assembly information includes part information of the mating relationships. Okay, now to take this assembly into another CAD package, let's say I designed assembly in SolidWorks, okay, SolidWorks assembly environment, and now I want to carry out some stress analysis, and I want to use ANSYS. Okay, so if I want to transfer the assembly file into ANSYS, okay, I first have to convert the assembly file. So if I use IGS file format, which is in existence for a long time. Okay, now IGS file format is unable to store assembly information. Okay, IGS file format has some limitations and it will not be able to store assembly information. So assembly information means what? One part and the say two parts, how they are related with each other. So they are related with each other with some mating relationships. So those mating relationships gets associated with the assembly file when you import the part in an assembly environment and assemble the parts. Okay, so that assembly file will store the mating relationships. Okay, that assembly file will store the mating relationships. But if you want to transfer that assembly file into an ANSYS environment, for example, then IGS file format will not capture the assembly, the mating relationship, okay, for that assembly, and it will only capture individual part information. And when you will open such IGS file in ANSYS environment, you will lose the information. So in order to avoid such things, step file format is developed. So step will also record the assembly information, the mating relationships. It will also have the tolerances information. It will also have uh, all these informations, many of these informations which are listed over here. Step file will have all that information, and that is why it is a standard. Okay, for standard of exchange of product data. Okay, standard developed to exchange the product data. So step has a provision to store the information like assembly, tolerances, material, etc. Assemblies can be converted in step format to preserve all mating relationships. It is an example of going beyond geometry. Okay, so we were discussing, okay, the geometric model should not only store geometry information, but it should go beyond the geometry and store all other informations. So step is a standard design to store much more information, not only geometry but all other aspects of the model. So most of the CAD CAM systems provide step as a translators. So you will have step translator, you will have IGS translator. Okay, IGS and step are two common formats found with most of the CAD CAM packages which are available in the market. Okay, so this was a brief on CAD CAM and integration of the two systems. Okay, in the coming lectures, we will see in details of the how the CAD systems operate. Okay, and we will also see some of the geometrical aspects of creating sketches. Okay, so thank you.